All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Here we are with patch 2.1. Today, going to be coming at you live with some not domination. We've got land battles, in fact, in King of the Hill today. Probably should have put that in the title there, but that's okay. Maybe I'll update that real quick. Thank y'all guys for coming out. We've got quite a few watching already, so good to see you all showing up to support today. We're going to be getting started shortly. Got Ice Power versus A Move Hacker. Yeah, in a nice land battle, we've got Kislev versus Tzeentch. So bear with me, guys. Just kind of getting things, last couple things set up. We'll be getting started very shortly. Let's transition on over to the game here. And we're going to be on Bloodpine Woods. That going. And just a second, guys. Need to take care of a couple more things. So just bear with me. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I probably should have just left the music playing, to be honest. But yeah, these guys are just picking their armies here. Had to make sure I'm all ready to go. Yeah, hopefully you all are doing well. A lot of changes today. Figured while we are kind of waiting in between the games here, we could, yeah, go through some of the changes. So if I pull this up over here, put this, and let's go like this. Okay. And here we are with the patch 2.1 changes. So a lot of changes. A few highlights. Stationary vortex spells have been rebalanced. That does not include Dwellers Below. If you actually look through the notes, it's like Pit of Shades was the big one for sure. The Infernal Gateway, which is relevant now to this Tzeentch matchup here. Yeah, we've got some other things. Helman Gorse getting nerfed, as you saw in the thumbnail. Dwarfs getting buffed. They get spell resistance across the board. Thorgrim also gets individually buffed. Yeah, Festus got nerfed. Some of you were mentioning in chat. His campaign is quite a bit tougher now, and I haven't played Legendary, but I did play some Festus campaign on Very Hard back a little bit ago for just to see how it was, and I don't know, it just seemed kind of trivially easy to me, in terms of, like, I basically could AFK through siege battles and just stick him in a blob of, like, warriors and kill the entire enemy army by just fighting near the gate. And land battles also weren't, I mean, they're maybe not trivially easy, but just in general, I don't know, I didn't really struggle with that campaign at all, so it's tough. I think maybe they went a little bit too far in terms of nerfing his Mortis engine. They could have gone to, like, 2/3 damage instead of half. But, I mean, we'll see how it kind of plays out. I think part of the problem, and this is something that's tricky, is that damage scaling in multiplayer, you have to consider that the Slaanesh kind of Mortis effect on the War Shrine also is a factor there, because you can actually stack the two of them, right? But in Festus' campaign, he doesn't have actually have access to the Slaanesh War Shrines, So anyway, these guys looks like they are loading in, so let's transition on over to that. And we'll take a look back at the patch notes when we're in between matches. So yeah, Ice Power coming in with Tzeentch, and not Ice Power using Lore of Ice here. Makes a lot of sense, actually, if you don't think about it too much. All right. Let's take a look at what they've got. So, A-Move Hacker coming in with Ice Witch on foot, which is an interesting choice. She's got Blizzard and the Snowflake Pendant. I'm not sure. I think maybe he intended to take her on horseback or on a bear. But taking her on foot's definitely going to be risky. She can kind of hide in the woods here, though, potentially. Got some Ice Guard with swords here, Kossar Spears. Some Ice Guard with glaives as well. So quite a bit of Ice Guard, actually. Very interesting to see. Some Kossar Spears as well. Winged Lancers, Regiment of Renown, Bear Cav. We've got Oath Brothers here with some additional Frostbite, anti-large AP. Decent stuff. For the other side, for Tzeentch, got a Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Tzeentch up on a disc. He's no doubt rocking Blue Fire and Pink Fire. Did not take the Spawn Summons. Very interesting. I think it's this guy that has the Spawn Summons, if I remember right. We've got some Marauders up front. Second line of some Warriors. Lots of shields, just all sword and board. And then a couple of spawns as well for some Armor Sundering. Help that lack of Armor Piercing. Furies, Warriors with halberds, and some Knights of Tzeentch as well. Interesting choices all around. I haven't really messed too much with like a cultist attack buff build with the Warriors style builds for Tzeentch yet, but yeah, Ice Power is also streaming. He has been streaming some tournament games. I think he was playing in a Domination tournament earlier today. Definitely a great guy, great player. I would definitely recommend you check his channel out. I believe, if I can find the link here, I will actually link you guys. Looks like he's on YouTube. That's, I was going to say, I think he's on YouTube, but I didn't want to misspeak. There you go, if you also want to watch Ice Power's perspective. We'll see how he does. Interesting build. So something like this, I might go with maybe like melee-only Village. Like, you cut all of his spells, and you cut his spell mastery. He's relatively cheap, but he's not that cheap. I don't know. Maybe it's also better to just go with Lord of Change. Exalted Lord of Change, or maybe even Sarthrel with no spells. That way you at least have a Terror Flying Lord go alongside your Warriors build, and then you just take something basically exactly like this, and then Cultist Caster just with Horse, the map-wide attack, and Flame buff. Then you just spam Fireballs and Cascading Fire Cloak and basically give all of these melee units extra attack. Seems decent. It's basically like you get the Lore of Slanesh attribute almost, except, you also have Lore of Tzeentch attribute at the same time. And you can stack it with Warp Flame, obviously. That Kindle Flame effect, so it's actually quite strong. Wow, look at this guy. He literally has a T-posing animation. Why have I never watched this guy's animation on the disc before? That's hilarious. Did you guys see that? He literally did a T-pose as he was casting and flying around here. And animation's kind of janky a little bit, as it kind of has some weird frame delay, but yeah, I need to investigate that screen tearing too. I don't know if you guys can see that actually on the broadcast, but anyway. That Tzeentch caster's definitely risking it, though. Yeah, I was going to say, as soon as those Ice Guards start to shoot at him, which they definitely should have been probably this whole time, Frostbite will kick in, and I think A-Move needs to start focusing. I mean, this Tzeentch Sorcerer is well within range right now. If you were to hit this guy with a bunch of Ice Guard shots and, the bows and whatnot, even though they don't have the best AP values, he definitely get torn up pretty quick. Only 4,000 real HP there. The rest of it is all barrier damage instead. Yeah, A-Move kind of advancing here. Trying to get within range. I don't know. The Ice Witch here, I'm surprised also that Ice Power hasn't been going all in with the Blue Fire. But we'll see. He is definitely risking it right now. No Little Grom either, which in land battles, Little Grom against Tzeentch I think is a decently good idea. Tzeentch doesn't really have a lot of artillery. You could force someone in or, pressure this Sorcerer Lord, maybe take out a few of these spawn before they get into combat, but oof. Ooh, nice. Those ice, the Zargard, rather, mostly dodge that spell. They really don't take much damage. They lose some models. Yeah, like 16, 17 models. That's not too bad. Yeah, but it's going to be all good as the Marauders and such start to approach. They'll take a lot of damage from these Ice Guards. The Kossars all opening up with their bows, loosing arrows. Got the Winged Lancers here on station, ready to fight as well. So it's a sort of a missile defense. A-Move Hacker, I believe, used to be a Dwarf main. I don't know if he's switched to Kislev necessarily full-time, but it's sort of like a Dwarf build, but with some cavalry counter components, and obviously the magic of the Ice Switch here kind of breaking up the advance. A nice charge with these Winged Lancers find the isolated Marauders out on the flank with their barrier already pretty much broken by the bow fire, so they can, the Winged Lancers that is, can get in and just smash them on a charge, do some real HP shock damage. Here come the Furies, though, swooping in. Furies did get a cost increase, all manner of Chaos Furies, except I think the Undivided ones are maybe still 575 for Demons, but not really relevant here. Winged Lancers immediately sweep back. Great response to just rear charge these guys. That'll definitely bail out these Kossars. They'll take relatively little damage there. Here comes a Blizzard as well. The spawn got shredded pretty badly by arrows, so so far it's looking okay, but the rush is definitely ongoing. We've got these Tzeentch Knights countercharging in. They're going to get on the Ice Guards, but they'll definitely have to be careful. I don't know, maybe they were actually trying to countercharge the Oath Brothers, which I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best idea in the world, but oof. We're going to see some kind of bombardment here. Was that? What was that? What was that? I don't even know what that was, to be honest. Anyway, that wasn't the Tzeentch army ability, was it? I don't know. Anyway, weird. That being said, the rush over on this side's definitely coming through. Some of the Kossars are starting to break up. Ice Guard's definitely not meant to fight heavy melee units like this. These warriors are getting slowed, though, as they try and pull away. Some halberds pulling through as well, so I mean, as these missile units start to get occupied, definitely going to take less damage. But no, this should be the Tzeentch army ability. I was going to say, that's more like it. That thing did very little damage. So, that's the placement here. Could have been maybe a little bit better, perhaps. Hard to say, but it does end up tearing up some Kossars pretty well. The Winged Lancers also take some pretty significant damage there. So, definitely anyone's game still. Tzeentch rush coming through, starting to take some damage on these Knights, though. Man, they've lost a lot of HP charging around. Kossar Spears, not necessarily going to be an ideal target. They'll be okay, given their high armor and high defense. Kossar is also getting flanked here by some Marauders. Some nice kind of mobile hammer and anvil, but the Oath Brothers definitely just need to engage, and it looks like they do still have an attack order. Get on the Tzeentch Knights, and that's a nasty engagement for those Tzeentch Knights, man. Elite Bear Riders of Kislev in their beautiful blue uniforms. I'm going to chase away the Blue Knights, and it looks like Ice Power is going to throw in the towel there. So, yeah, I don't know. That it's interesting to see, again, A-Move being a Dwarf main for a lot of Warhammer 2, I think, or at least a very notable Dwarf player. Using Kislev in sort of a similar-ish fashion, a lot of hybrid units, the Ice Guards getting some good value here. Yeah, the Kossars also, but obviously the cavalry countercharge kind of is what sets something like this apart from the Dwarfs. Zargard hold up in defense fairly well. And yeah, I mean, he still had a lot of his healthy warriors online without having lost too many models, so perhaps they could have ground through over time, but given that he also didn't have a lot of great responses to the Oath Brothers, other than, like, politely asking them to please fight on top of the Tzeentch halberds. So, yeah, interesting builds on both sides, but it looks like A-Move is going to come through. That was the Oath Brothers of Tor ability. Okay, the ROR ability. See, I totally forgot that that thing was even a thing there. So, interesting. Very, very interesting. Yes, indeed. So let's take a look here. See. Yeah. It's an interesting build. Ice Power said he was kind of also planning for a sled blob to a degree. I think probably the aspiring champs ROR is pretty good for Zinch in that matchup, just because Kislev, I mean, again, they don't like a lot of their anti-infantry AP isn't going to be great against them. Maybe Streltsy fire, but I feel like you can screen Streltsy relatively effectively. But yeah, I didn't have a ton of people signing up for the King of the Hill today. I think a lot of people are working or otherwise indisposed, but let's see here. Might have to jump in. Unless there's anyone from chat that feels like they wanna jump in as well. But this is an interesting one. Yeah, that matchup can go a few different ways. Personally, I think one of Kislev's kind of weaknesses to a degree is they're not great against like flying power lords. So I would have probably, and I was saying this before the game, Ice Power, I'm a fan of like taking a Exalted Lord of Change, no spells, just the Fury summons, and then you actually take a Cultist for the extra melee attack and Kindle Flame, and you just spam like Cascading Fire Cloak and Fireball as much as you can. As long as you can keep them from getting surrounded, like the Lord of Change, that is. As long as you can keep him from getting surrounded by like the Bear Calves, he can definitely generate a lot of value just cycle charging from the air as a combat lord. So, I don't know. That's kind of the way I've approached that matchup in the past. But let's see. I might have to jump in here and fight a move, just because we didn't have a ton of people signing up. But, let's see. Bear with me, guys. Just 1 second. If anyone, again, from chat wants to play, feel free to hop on over to Discord, where we kind of have been managing everything. So Festus Mortis effect got cut in half, right? Yeah, his healing elixirs and the damage one as well. I think both got cut in half. So yeah. Yeah, I think I like the melee build idea, Ice Power, for sure. I just think that the Cultist is the best support for that, because you get again map-wide melee attack buff. So anyway, how about this? I'm gonna jump in here, I think, unless anyone wants to come play. Maybe I'll jump in for a round. Let me see. Yeah, I think I'm going to rehost the lobby since I'm a spectator. It's going to close the lobby when I back out, so we'll just rehost real quick. And... oh, failed the host game. That's amazing. There we go. Ice Power saying everyone always bans Dark Elves against him. Yes, I mean, you're too powerful. Yeah, the mass thing is an issue for sleds for sure, because you need like 1 or 2 knights, and the knights, I don't know, I feel like besides the sleds, they maybe don't do a ton for you. Spawns also get shredded by arrow fire though, so it is a little bit weird trying to figure out the sleds. You take the halberds, like they do have barrier to protect against a little bit of missiles, but they're also like gonna get shredded if your opponent really dedicates to taking them out. So let's see. Okay, so A move is going to pick Kislev and ban Slanesh. So I think I'm going to go Empire here. I haven't really played the Empire nearly as much as I should have, so... yeah. We'll go Empire here, and let's think about what I'm going to do in terms of army picks. The other thing, too, the one nice thing I will say with Fireball is it's not nearly as effective, obviously, because you're not up in the air with Blue Fire, but you can kind of side-shot infantry units with Fireball, and it does a decent degree of damage. It's not super reliable, but there have been times where my Cultist has paid for himself just in terms of damage, and then obviously the support on top of that for the rest of the build. But, yeah. Yeah, so you need some mass, definitely. Otherwise, if you go super wide on infantry, it's just, you're going to have a bad time. Speaking of which, let's have a think about this matchup a little bit here. So, what are some possible things we could face? Definitely sleds. Empire tends to have pretty good combined arms, though, so it just kind of depends on what I want to do, I think. I feel like Boris is not a bad idea up in the air. Take just the passives, so I don't have to remember to miss-micro everything. Marauder Cav? Yeah, Marauder Cav's not a bad idea. Marauder Cav can actually counter-skirmish, and because they can fire in melee right now, they're a little bit bugged. They can actually kill the sleds probably in melee because they'll keep shooting while they're in melee. So, yeah. I would say you take a couple of Marauder Cav and basically keep them as sled defense, and then rush with a wide melee. Basically like a big Warriors of Chaos build, more or less. Right? I was just going to say, War Wagons are the solution to all things, and I actually think that's technically correct. I think if we take War Wagons here, that will be good. So let's do that. Let's take some dedicated shielded infantry. Yes, I need a caster, so... Right now, the OP is Lore of Life, so we're going to go with that. And in land battles, it'll be less so. I do need to switch the map. I don't think of good maps. No. I'm trying to think of the good Dark Elf maps. That one's not too bad, but... Bleakdale, is that the one I'm thinking of? Oh, that's fine. We'll just do Chaos Waste Central, maybe? Yes. Or Prague, maybe. I feel like that's more thematic. Prague's a decent map, too. Okay, so let's go Dwellers. And... just Dwellers. Ah, yeah. Sleds, the thing is, sleds are definitely strong, but they can be countered, definitely. Without, it's a little bit weird. It's just with Lynch's particular roster construction, it's almost like you have to, like, charge them with the Flying Lord, like, isolate them with a mobile unit, which is tricky. You can maybe draw them out with some Screamers, actually. Kislev is a matchup for Screamers, for sure. They can do significant damage to sleds. And again, flying, Kislev relatively weak to flying. To a degree, maybe. Plague of Rust and Mass Range would also work. Like you say, blues aren't enough, but they're only 50 armor, actually, the sleds, so some blues might work also. The nice thing about a blues build, too, is with the cultists, their melee power is actually enough that they can fight a lot of Kislev's stuff reasonably efficiently. Let's see here. Should I take mortar wagons? Definitely not. Maybe an actual cannon, though. Let's take a cannon. Let's take some... Take some crossbowmen And a couple of Empire Knights. I have enough to upgrade with this. Not that that's going to do a ton. I didn't realize the actual thing has physical resistance. I'm gonna take a Hell Blaster for fun. Or a rocket battery is actually probably the best thing to take here. Yeah, let's do that. Cool. I don't know. I think a true sled blob. I don't know. It's hard to account for that, but I think you can probably figure out some builds that work in that matchup. I don't know. I need to workshop it myself more and see, because like in the previous to Immortal Empires, I didn't have as much problems. I feel like once sleds got properly nerfed, and Tzeentch just got more stuff since then. So I don't know. I would need to play it again and see a bit for sure. But A-Move's Kislev in particular does seem quite scary. So I think that's also part of it too. Is that, you know, given his experience playing the Dwarfs in the past, it's like, again, like I was saying in the past, it's Dwarfs with cavalry and magic, which is pretty good. Like, actually very good cavalry and magic too, not just some chump stuff. These two crossbows, actually, I realize are not really enough to do a lot, but it might provide some distractions, some extra range damage. If we're lucky, let's put them on Group 4. We got Cavs on Group 5. I'm a little bit worried about our lack of anti-large AP here, but I'm just hoping that the missiles can do enough to deal with... Yeah, let's try sleds versus... War wagons versus sleds, perhaps. We'll see. But... Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Oh, definitely don't want to just leave my rockets down there, though. Let's see. Don't want to fire through these trees. Seems decent. I mean, yeah, I might technically be corner camping here, but that's fine. We'll move up a little bit out of the corner. Soldiers of the Empire. We serve France. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, man, we can work on some stuff. I'd be interested because I'm like low-key a fan of Tzeentch still, even though they're quite strong in certain ways. Yeah. Yeah, I think until they fix Marauder Horsemen firing in melee, though, I think they're something that you should be taking in a lot of matchups. Oh boy, I see Dlc. Okay, let's kind of move up like this. The wagons up. Okay, let's move you guys over to this side to counteract those horse archers. Some Dlc in the center, that's mostly fine. Nice, landed a couple of decent hits there. Yes, let's fire at some armored Kossars here. That will be fine for now, just kind of generate some passive value. Bait some shots here. Kind of juke around. Gonna make sure he doesn't just YOLO straight in. So let's kind of angle back here. Okay, we don't necessarily want to just be... Oh, the Dlc fire. That actually hurts. War wagons. Okay. Okay, let's keep pulling back as we're dealing damage. We can get the war wagons to focus on his lord. That's going to be quite good, actually. But let's see. This should be fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's not going to deal enough damage to really stop me. But let's come block with the wagons on this side here. Horus also can just come, like, drop some Griffin Legions here, perhaps. Or at least threaten. Also make sure those crossbowmen aren't just going to get straight charge there. Can come up here. These war wagons out to assist. They are kind of just wasting ammo on useless stuff right now for the most part, though, which is not what I want. So actually kind of switch positions here. Yeah, focus those Griffin Legion. That's going to be a good target. Oof. That was not great there. Also got way out of position with my crossbows. Oof, that's bad. Oh no! No, I'm also totally mismicroing everything. Yeah, my infantry got way too far forward. Horse is definitely doing some damage though. Come back and counterattack here. Guys, keep firing. Let's some of this here. Yeah, the rockets probably did not generate enough value to pay for themselves, but that's fine. Well, that actually did a lot of damage. Wow, that did a lot of damage to my Empire Knights. Holy cow. That must have been overcast. Let's see. Yeah, it would have been better for me to actually have the cannon here, because he went with some cavalry. A decent amount of cavalry, but let's swing back here. Nice, we got a little blob forming there. We can take those guys out. They're gonna mostly dodge it. That's fine. Okay, let's come forward and start fighting here. War wagons are still online. Yeah. Not doing great though. Honestly, not doing a lot. Just going pretty badly, I think, actually. Because he took a lot more ranged and cavalry, just kind of in tandem, which is obviously what Kislev is, so... We are getting some breaks, though. It's not all bad. Those horse archers back at the edge of the map are definitely just trolling me right now, but... War wagons can continue to fire in melee, so let's just punch out any isolated units here. Griffin Legion want to come play, so let's switch over there. Okay, horsemen just kind of hang out in the woods here. Yeah, this is definitely not going particularly great, but, you know, maybe we can hold out in the end. We're going to get a nice charge on those Griffin Legions. That's fantastic. Just all focus fire there. Okay, pull out. And just let them take the damage. Nice, we've mostly avoided it. Let's pull over here. Oof, except then we just ran straight back into it, because I'm a genius. Obviously. Let's throw another dwellers right here. Managed to conserve those mostly, so we should have some in the late game as some blobs form. Kind of help recover this a little bit.
Ready! Understood! Blades ready! Limber weapons!
Yeah, I have plenty of ammo, too. Are these guys not on fire at will? Really? Have they not been on fire at will this entire time? That's a huge mistake. Oh, man, I'm just playing so bad right now. Yeah. Alright, war wagons are going to need to hold out until Boris can come. Which hopefully will not be too long. Let's get a couple of these routing units back in the fight. See if we can get a terror out. Come on. Crush the weak. Ah, they get by our blood before they tear out. They actually, Kislev winged lancers are not immune to psychology, no. But they do cause fear. Dang, by our blood is just going to kill me here. Because I'm not going to be able to pull these guys out of this cavalry engagement. Otherwise, we might be able to win this, but I also just let my caster get caught there. We've almost got one more dwellers. No, it actually, no. Stay and fight. Ah, he broke. No! Curses. Everything just fell apart at the same time. But, yeah, by our blood, definitely feel the power of that right now. Jesus. Oh, man. Come on, terror out, Boris, terror out. I don't know, Boris has taken basically no damage this entire time, so there's a small possibility that Boris can literally just carry this entire game, but I think it's fairly unlikely at this point. let's try and figure out how we're going to start to break some of these units. So we'll come over like this. And I did lose my caster straight up. That sucks. I probably had one more... Yeah, one or two more dwellers. Yeah, actually, like 2 or 3 more. But... Okay, the key is here. We gotta not take too much damage from the Dlc. So let's just straight charge the Dlc with Boris. And then, yeah, we lost 1 unit to Dlc fire. That's not great, definitely. But... that might have just cost me the game right there, losing those war wagon models. I just lost a lot of ammunition that I would have needed. Now he's going to focus Boris, which he, to be honest, should have been doing the whole time, but that's okay. It's hard to dodge bullets, too. With flying units, they're not nearly as efficient at dodging bullets. Oh, Jesus. As I'm just, like, not even doing anything. I thought they had an attack order on those Griffin Legion. What are you doing? Yeah, that's a GG. Oh, man. Oh, I made too many mistakes. I feel like I could have won with that build. I mean, yeah, ultimately, it definitely was not enough anti-large AP. It definitely needed more, like, anti-cavalry tools. So, like, it would have been better to just have a cannon here, definitely. But the thing is... Again, and this kind of goes back to your point, Ice Power, is like you kind of have to prepare. I guess sleds, too, I probably didn't have enough. I kind of was just planning on playing bumper cars with the war wagons and hoping missile damage was enough. But, yeah, I think something like this, my anti-infantry, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. I just definitely made too many mistakes. Need to stay a bit tighter with my infantry and such. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe I just cut these swordsmen out for like 1 more spearman, upgrade the other one to a halberd. But, yeah. Cool, so... Let's see. Let's see if there's anyone else. I don't know. Might have to go yell at some people. Looks like Flying Taco might be good to go. So, yes. I'm gonna rehost his spec, and we'll get this. This, yeah, GG, man. A-moves Kislev is nasty. Like, I made too many mistakes, obviously, but he definitely played very smart. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. And the thing is, like, if you try and go in and snipe in melee, you know, Marcus actually probably would have been better. It's hard to say, but yeah, cool. Just getting this set up. Land battle set up. Yeah, in hindsight, it definitely would have been better to just take the cannon and then reallocate those extra 300 points, because I could have actually cut 1 shield, I guess, and taken 2 unshielded spears, which is, I mean, they're not going to do a ton against Kislev's range units, but... yeah, maybe I just go with, like, a ton of my own range, like, more crossbowmen and archers and stuff. Hard to say. Definitely need to workshop that one a little bit and see, but it feels like it's a matchup that can maybe go some different ways, though. Like, I feel like... Yeah. If I had played that build absolutely perfect, I think I had a chance to win, but even still, it was going to be a little tricky. But, let's see. Okay, just explaining the picking rules again. And making sure we're all set. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, the shift movement is pretty finicky. It's not something I use super often in real world situations, to be honest with you. But hmm. Yeah, I definitely needed more of something. I'm not sure. Maybe more mobile firepower, honestly, because the ROR Hellblaster wagon actually might not have been a terrible idea if I just went like very mobile with War Wagons, the Hellblaster wagon, and then a couple of knights with Boris to like shock charge some units. Yeah, maybe that would have been better. Hard to say. Hard to say. Very, very interesting. I love, personally, I love Kislev versus Empire, Kislev versus Bretonia, Empire versus Bretonia, Kislev versus Cathay, Empire versus Cathay, just all the human matchups, right? What's my dream edition, Lord or faction? So I'm going to actually say unit, Nickelback. To answer that question, my dream unit would be the Marienburg Landship. I love the ridiculous, like, not too over the top, but kind of silly in a way, like just over the top units. Like, you know, like even war wagons could arguably fall into that category, like the Snotling pump wagons. You know, hopefully we get like the Slayer artillery piece someday, but the Marienburg Landship for me is one that's like, it's legendary, right? And it would give the Empire like a true tier 5 SEM, because the steam tank is pretty good, but it's not it's not amazing. And I feel like their monster presence is very low, and while the Marienburg Landship wouldn't necessarily be a melee monster, probably be just a gigantic missile platform with a lot of missile DPS. Be very tanky and probably slow as well, but I don't know, as kind of a mobile shooting fort, and just the sort of silliness of it in a way, the fantasy element of it is so cool. So yeah, I'm gonna go with I guess Marienburg as a faction would be pretty cool too, but just the Marienburg Landship specifically. How long off do you think we are from a Norska DLC? It's hard to say. It's definitely hard to say. Norska, I would say maybe late next year, like probably more than a year, because I think most likely we're gonna get a couple more patches before the end of the year, just kind of cleaning up Immortal Empires and getting the balance locked in, maybe one or two more, and then perhaps we see you know, the next DLC, which most likely is going to be Chaos Dwarfs, I would think. Yeah, I don't know. They've been dropping some pretty heavy-handed hints about Chaos Dwarfs, so I would guess that they're next, and they might come either towards the end of the year or early next year. Then probably people will want some kind of Order DLC, or at least a neutral faction DLC, so I could see them doing maybe like an Empire and rework DLC at some point, kind of around then. Or I just don't know if they'll do like a double Chaos DLC or triple. I guess at that point, triple Chaos DLC, right? Chaos DLC, right? Because it would have been the Warriors DLC, Chaos Dwarfs, and then Norska. So I think there's likely to be one more DLC in between those. And if we look at past performances, like I think 2 to 4 DLCs is kind of the range I would expect. So that would place, again, Norska, a potential Norska DLC if it was the third DLC next year, towards the end of the year or the beginning of 2024. So, yeah. Yeah, middle of the map is pretty barren without the Chaos Dwarfs. I definitely agree. Definitely agree. There's some other... I've been thinking there's a lot of dead zones in the map, and there's the obvious ones, Ind and Koresh, you know, Warhammer Korea. Nippon is just not even on the map currently, but I think they probably could add it. And but there's also like the coast of Nagaron, like that huge archipelago. It's completely impassable, and that's definitely an area where they could add some stuff and make more settlements and kind of open those islands up. There's a few other weird areas like that that are kind of like big, impassable chunks. So, I don't know. There are some hidden areas I think that they could open up potentially for some DLCs. Yeah, they've expanded the map before, and they've already broken up the Border Princes and Tilea and Estalia into more provinces and more regions. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty clear indication if the hints from all time weren't enough already. But anyway, Flying Taco is now coming in with the Beastman here. He's got a big old Vanguard force backed up by Taurox. Taurox at the very front of his deployment zone is at the back of this formation, which is just great. Got some Gore herds with shields here, mixed in Ungor Spearman herd, Centaurs with great weapons, some Tuskgore chariots as well, Razor Gore herds, and some Centaurs also. Yeah, looks like Bray Shaman lore of Wild. Not really surprising. I would guess probably Evolve. Yeah, does not do any damage now, hopefully. We'll see, but Devolve and Traderkin. Devolve is a significant debuff, though. Speed, leadership, charge speed, melee attack. It's definitely considerable. I think the idea here is just to get some Bestial Surge procs, though, out of it. We'll see. On Kislev's side, oh man. A-Move Hacker going with a very different approach this time, and one that has historically been very rough for the Beastman to deal with, taking an Elemental Bear, giant unbreakable single entity with physical resistance, huge weapon damage, frostbite, and chilling aura to help control movements. We've also got the Oath Brothers of Tor, some armored Kossars in blocks, two, Boris and a Patriarch, plus an Ice Witch. Are they all on bears? The Ice Witch is on a horse. Okay. So, interesting. And then some Zargards up front. Yeah, armored Kossars out on the sides as well. Very interesting, very tight little blocky formation here with a Doom Blob. I'm fine with Vlad and Isabella not being usable in regular multiplayer. I think they should probably be campaign-only units, given their power level as heroes, if that's what you're referring to. Like, with them no longer being available in regular ranked multiplayer as heroes. I thought it was a little bit of an odd inclusion in the first place. So, yeah. I think it's fine. Let's see what they got here. Boris. Looking absolutely gorgeous out here in the sun. The Beastmen descending to meet them. Elangui, this map, if you start out on this side, you're at a little bit of a downslope, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue as the Kislev kind of blocks form up here. Got the Tuskgore chariots moving in. Tuskgore chariots don't have a lot of armor, though. I say that, and then I look, and 80 armor is actually pretty decent. It's not a ton, though. Definitely takes significant damage from the armored Kossars. It's like potentially breath attack coming out as well, but the pistols of those Kossars are just going to be so nice against all of these low armor Beastman targets. Like a pretty nice volley there. Took down one model, quite a bit of HP damage as well against those Centaurs. So, yeah, here come the Gore herds. Definitely good to have the shields, but the Beastman rush eventually will impact. Tuskgore chariots getting in a little bit of a charge and pull back there. Pretty wimpy charge here, actually. I don't know if they actually had a charge order exactly, but they've kind of pulled the Oath Brothers out of position. They're going to just turn around, though, and start to rear charge this pocket. Find those Tuskgore chariots. Get counter-charged in. Manticore coming in. Bray Shaman Lore Wild. We've got the Razor Gore herds. Meanwhile, Taurox pushing up with these Razor Gore herds on this side. Nice sandwich of those armored Kossars. They're just going to get absolutely nuked. The Oath Brothers pop their ability maybe a little bit early there. We've got a big Traderkin here, too, which is perhaps going to do quite a bit of damage. I don't know. I guess from the healing of the Patriarch, it looks like it didn't really do a ton there. Assuming the Patriarch does have his healing. Yep, so kind of staved off quite a bit of the damage of that Traderkin. I don't know. May not necessarily be worth taking, but its players also might be experimenting. I don't know. Maybe it will be in the long term. Nice collapse from the Centaurs here. This is the Razor Gores also. The Beastmen just outnumbering Kislev significantly because Kislev went very narrow here, and the Ice Bear can only be in so many places at the same time. As these Kislev units get isolated and rear charged, it's going to start to turn into some significant problems. Torok's also doing a great job cycle charging. Speed debuff he definitely feels. Maybe he'll be charging. Nope, looks like he's actually going to not engage with the bear there and instead go maul some infantry, which I guess is fine. Shard Blade gets activated, does hit quite a bit of Beastman units. Significant damage there. And it looks like we're going to have Heart of Winter, perhaps, from Kislev. Yep. All the Beastman units kind of scattered to the hills, try and not take too much damage from that. Let's check in on Boris's value. Hasn't really done too much. I think Boris definitely needs to stay tight and just counteract Torok's wherever he goes. But I guess right now mauling some chariots. Also pretty good use of his time. Beastman, again, cycle charging effectively, pulling out, pulling back in, and finding those weak points. Those armored Kossars and Zargard and whatnot can be rear charged. Nice chariot play here as well. So there's the Heart of Winter. Finishing up, did some okay damage, but nothing too crazy. We take a look at the mage's value here. Yeah, almost 300 damage value. Not quite groundbreaking by any means, but anyway, here comes chariots. Spray Shaman continuing to run through, but the Zargard are definitely holding quite admirably, in fact. Stand your ground up to 74 melee defense. Even with the charge bonus, those Beastman chariots will still struggle to get super effective hits. I mean, I guess 70 charge bonus on the Tuskor chariots. They're still going to be pretty close to, what, 60% hit chance, which I guess is not bad, but this goes to show that high melee defense does matter quite a bit. And Zargards also. Leadership, of course, going to be quite nice. By our blood. Looks like already popped for a couple of these units. Oh, really nasty breath attack potential there. Looks like the targeting wasn't totally ideal, but still got some pretty good value. Beastmen are starting to take an advantage on the balance of power, though, as the cycle charge is just too much for them to deal with. Not enough numbers here, and I almost wonder, you know, much as I admire sort of the monster boxing build, I think maybe going wide with a lot of shock cavalry would also be a way to perhaps play this matchup. It's hard to say, you know, Centaurs with Great Weapons specifically rate quite well into Empire Knights. I would think, though, that Winged Lancers just have enough charge bonus to win pretty decisively on the charge. I haven't actually tried it, but I don't know. I would think, like, wide with Winged Lancers, the Horse Archers as well, counter skirmish with Centaurs, I think, super efficiently, so I don't know. I might have taken a different build here and gone with the more wide, mobile-centric approach, but Ice Bears are definitely going to hold out into a blob here. Should be okay. Might be enough to just kind of heal sustain through all of this mobile Beastman's units. Like, even though Beastmen are ultimately winning the battle, so to speak, they might actually end up losing the battle if the healing is too much on all these single entities, if they don't have enough killing power in the end. And given that they do lack missiles in this build, it might be a problem. Like, at only 90 armor, even like a wide bit of Ungor Raiders could be a decent tool for dealing with this elemental bear. But more Kossars getting isolated and destroyed here, and I think at this point Flying Taco just needs to focus on making sure he chases those routing units, continue to route off units when you can, but probably just avoid the engagement for the time being with this big doom blob of stuff until he can get some good surrounds here. Really try and use his units efficiently to support Torox, because ultimately Torox is going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting here, and I just don't know if he can. Another Heart of Winter going off? No, Traderkin, in fact, to debuff that blob. We look at the healing cap situation here. It's still not even visible on this elemental bear, so quite a bit of HP left. Could have, you know, 2,000 plus potentially. Both brothers dropping a bombardment. Should do some okay damage to the Centaurs there. Nothing too crazy, but they just immediately shatter. A lot of these Kislev units are going to start to shatter, and for Torox, the smart thing to do would be to actually try and snipe this Patriarch out, because if you stop the healing, it's going to be a lot easier to deal with all of these other single entities, but right now he's focusing on trying to take out Boris. In terms of direct threats to Torox, Boris is arguably the strongest, but I would probably be trying to snipe out the Patriarch, who's almost at his healing cap anyway. And out of all 3 or 4 of these single entity combatants, he's only stronger than the Frost Maiden, obviously. So Another Heart of Winter going off there as Torox pulls away. That balance of power pretty much hasn't budged. It's still slightly in Beastman's favor, but a lot of that's just due to the army situation. Torox starts to take significant damage in any engagement here. That balance of power is going to equalize pretty quickly. Or no, actually, in Kislev's favor. What am I doing? Oh, yeah, guys, I'm really good at this, I promise. So Manticore going to dive back in, but Torox ends up getting surrounded by all these single entities, and it's just a horrific engagement for him. He does do a lot of damage to the Frost Maiden, and, you know, all of these single entities for Kislev are taking significant damage, except for the Ice Bear. The Elemental Bear still is not at its healing cap, whereas all of these characters are at this point. But I think Taco made a pretty big mistake in not trying to snipe out that Patriarch first, and things are looking pretty dicey for the Beastman. Looks like he's going to go for a big all-in, which he's going to have to be careful, you know, with the possibility of another Heart of Winter. Just a little bit of cycle charge here, a little bit of lag as well. Brass Body active to help Torox not take quite so much damage, but he's coming in now for a charge on the Patriarch. Let's see if he can get too many attacks before getting surrounded, but I don't know. I think A-Move is explicitly trying to surround Torox with his characters every time he comes in, and particularly with the speed debuffs of the Ice Bear, it's going to be a problem, but it looks like the Frost Maiden does get soloed out there and is now gone, so no more magic for Kislev. You don't have to worry about blobbing up nearly as much and getting hit by that big Heart of Winter. The Terror is also obviously going to be a big problem for Beastman, though, and he's got to be careful with this Manticore, too, that it doesn't take too much damage. I think, yeah, technically, I think the Shaman is also contributing a little bit of DPS here into the back of the Elemental Bear, so Beastman definitely still have a chance to win this, but Torox really needs to, like, get up and around. He's just so slow at this point with all of those speed debuffs and being exhausted that he's going to have a hard time actually outmaneuvering the Elemental Bear to get at the Patriarch, like for, ooh, some big hits, too, on the Manticore there. That's pretty decisive. And again, a great block from the Elemental Bear by A-Move. So A-Move just putting on a Kislev clinic today. Not what I expected, definitely. But it's interesting, certainly, to see. And, ooh, nice breath attack, point blank into the Bray Shaman. Does some pretty solid damage there. Looks like it might have done a little bit of friendly damage to Boris, though, as well. And a huge hit into the back of Torox by the Elemental Bear. I mean, at this point, Beastmen are kind of teetering on the edge, but some nice surrounds by the Centigores. Oh man, the Manticore enrages, which there's a little bit of a bug with the enrage right now with flying units where they sometimes can't land while enraged. So that's a big, big letdown. That Manticore definitely could have come in and sniped out the Patriarch here, but it looks like maybe it's going to get a land. Come on, buddy. Come on. Traderkin does come in and hit some of these units, so Beastmen just hanging on by their nails right now. They could somehow finish off Boris and get him off the field, or even better, kill him. But, oh, man, that's going to be decisive, too. Torox actually gets killed. That leads to a huge chain terror rout, and I think the Beastmen might get army lost here. Let's see, but the Manticore finally unenrages, gets a charge, gets no hits against Boris, and just gets punched back in the face. So I think, yeah, that's army losses for Beastmen. Man, some tough RNG situations there at the end. Definitely could have gone both ways. Super, super close game, but yeah. Man, oh man. What a wild game. Huge value on those Traderkins. So I guess over time it did tell. It wasn't quite enough at the end of the day. I think, again, from Taco's perspective, had he just gotten a couple more charges with Torox into the Patriarch to take him out just slightly sooner, not get quite so much healing on the Elemental Bear, I think, is the biggest issue, right? Because it has the highest base HP pool. The percentage healing of that higher HP pool is going to give more raw numbers. So, wow, the Elemental Bear pays for itself. Oath Brothers pay for themselves, pretty much. Boris also contributing quite nicely. Rest of the build here. Stuff gets run over pretty hard. I mean, all this Kislev infantry might as well have not even existed, but credit to both sides here. Torox, not great, actually. Didn't quite pay for himself, and I think that's ultimately what cost Taco the game. The rest of the army, I mean, he played it beautifully. Took out the Kislev support units, got good surrounds, and in many ways outplayed, but just a few key mistakes against a very well-constructed build here for Kislev. yeah, ultimately proves to be the downfall of Torox. And Boris is definitely a potent combatant against somebody like Torox, so wow. Yes. Festus, no, I don't think he needs to be engaged in melee. But let's see. Let's see if there's anyone else that wants to come in and play. If there's anyone who in chat, of course, who wants to jump in, feel free to mosey on over to my Discord. Yeah. Let's see for the patch notes if I can find Festus. Yeah, so no, he doesn't need to be in melee to use his abilities, which I think is probably why they made his damage lower than any other Mortis type effect. At least I'd have to look at the damage values now, but I think it's lower than the basic Mortis engine and lower than Gorst as well. Gorst, for those of you guys who are curious, got a significant cost increase on his cart, and he also got an HP decrease. So in campaign, I think they're still working on the bugged skills that give like a 1,000,000% healing cap or whatever. But now at least you should be able to snipe Helmengorst in battle much more effectively. And yeah, in multiplayer, he's definitely going to be less impressive for sure. So let's see. Oh man. A move here with a few great Kislev wins. I'm just saying we haven't had too many other people posting in terms of wanting to join in. I think quite a few people are playing in Turin's. Well, they were playing in Turin's Domination Tournament. They should be pretty much done by now, right? Anyway, how about you, Coops? Are you at work? You want to jump in on the land battle? See if you can fight Kislev? Oh. Yeah, we'll see with the changes to Domination. Slow, like, ranged faction plays are going to be stronger now than they ever were in the past. So it's an interesting time to be around for sure. Yeah, it's super frustrating. I think they overtuned the raise dead mechanic a little bit to where it like almost always brings units back. But let's see. I know Romulan Dog said he wanted to play, but I don't know if he's ready. He said he would be a little bit later. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we can give it another few minutes. In fact, let me go take a break real quick. I'm going to go grab some water. I'll put some music on for you guys. We'll be back in like 5-ish minutes, maybe less. We'll see. Hang tight, guys. Be right back. Okay, so we've got some people coming. While we're waiting on that, though, let's just go over the patch notes a little bit more. I haven't really done that too much, and I had intended to on this stream, so let's take a look here. There's quite a bit of balance changes, and when I say that, there's actually not that much, considering how much there is in the game, but let's take a look here. So some gameplay changes, AI mechanics. We don't really care too much about that. Let's talk about balance. So most stationary vortexes that were problematic have been nerfed. There are still probably a few out there, most notably Dwellers Below, that are still pretty strong, but they increased the wind-up time, so it's a little bit easier for them to dodge, and also reduce the damage slightly on the Overcast versions. Tonia didn't get any battles changes. Demons also didn't really get any battles changes. Yeah. Dark Elves. Yep, no real battles changes. Dwarfs. So this is another big change. One of the reasons I included Thorgrim on the thumbnail. Dwarfs got some significant buffs. They got a global plus 10% spell resistance from 25% up to 35%. In testing, it does help. I mean, it's still good to take AoE magic damage against the Dwarfs, though, so it'll be interesting to see how this kind of plays out long term. Looks like Coops is loading up right now. Perfect. So let me just get him the invite code real quick. Okay. And then we'll get back to the patch notes. Alright, so let's see here. Yeah, Hammers also got a plus 800 HP, which is pretty significant. It removes splash attacks, which is actually a buff, because their weapon strength was not high enough that they needed splash attacks. They were splitting up their damage inefficiently, so now it'll just be more models killed, which is ultimately better. And then all Hammers also get magical attacks. Thorgrim also got a little bit of an HP buff as well, and his High King buff, now it just activates in melee instead of him having to be below 50% HP. It's map-wide. Instead of being map-wide, it's only 50 meters. Now buffs armor-piercing weapon damage, and no longer buffs immune to psychology and charge bonuses. Yeah, Gromrindal, Runeaxe Gromrindal also lasts longer. Runehelm of Zufbar also costs less, so... Excuse me, yeah. It's looking good. Rune of Master Speed, longer duration. This is a huge one, actually. Especially because Rune Lords were already really good, and especially Thorek Ironbrow, but Rune of Hearth and Home, which is only available to Rune Lords, is now increases 5% vigor per second, which is insane. So essentially, Thorek Ironbrow now can get perfect vigor, which will make him even tankier and hard to kill in many situations. Rune of Speed also lasts a little bit longer as well, as alongside the Master version. So, pretty good stuff. Let me just double check over here. Let's see. Yeah, everything's looking good on this side. Anyway, Cafe, Talons of the Night, again, one of those spells that got changed. Also, I didn't even realize, because I don't use Missile Mirror really, but it now redirects grenades, so you can one-shot a unit of, like, Outrider grenade launchers or zombie bombers. You could probably one-shot them by casting Missile Mirror on them, which is kind of hilarious. Squig Herds, assuming they actually fire a volley during that time. Squig Herds got plus 50 cost, which is definitely necessary. The Archmage bugged HP was fixed, which is really nice. Furies, all marked Furies, I believe, got a plus 25 gold increase. Kislev Lizardman didn't really get any battles changes. Nurgle Furies, again, cost increase. Festus, we've talked about this a couple times, but both his heal and his Mortis effect were cut in half. Maybe too much, but hard to say. I need to play more for myself and see. Gorgers got a little bit of their weapon strength restored, so they should be slightly back to what they were before. Not fully, but decent. Slanesh Marauders got the basic Slanesh Marauder anti-infantry infantry got a 75 gold increase, which is huge for a unit that's this low cost. At 500 gold now, they should be a lot less cost effective. Still very good, but they should get outshined by significant numbers, which feels appropriate. Slaanesh Furies also, same thing. They fixed the Slaanesh summons, so it actually gives a delay now in terms of summoning demonettes. And let's see here. Looks like Koops is having to do the update. So we'll wait a little bit longer for him, no problem. Yeah. Yeah, building out Black Arcs just costs money now, but it is better. Yeah, I need to mess around with that mechanic a little bit more and see. I'm not sure how I feel about them, like, reworking the horde growth mechanics. It's just weird. I don't know. It doesn't, in the end game especially, it doesn't really matter anyway. But yeah, I'm not sure. I thought the Slaanesh Cav would probably make in on this update, but I think they're waiting. Or maybe it's just going to be on the next update and it's already been decided. But I kind of expected Slaanesh Cav to get a plus 100, plus 50 to 100 cost increase, perhaps, but we'll see. Also kind of surprised that the Empire didn't get any buffs, but there you go. Tomb Kings, they fixed the bugged Kepler Guard. They still haven't fixed, or at least they didn't mention here that maybe I missed it, that they fixed the bugged artillery, infinite ammo for Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast, but let's see. Zinch Furies, Infernal Gateway, same there. Yeah, not a lot for the Vampire Coast. Removed Frostbite on a couple of skills, but not really applicable to battles. Cryptors, plus 100 cost increase. Probably needed more than that, but we'll see. They're still going to be pretty good, I think, at that cost. Helmet Gorst, significant nerf, and then a slight nerf for the Necromancer as well. Warriors of Chaos. They did some vassalization. Some confederation. Archaon and Be'lakor can now confederate any other Warriors of Chaos factions, which is awesome. Yeah, not a lot else in terms of battle balance there. Same thing for the Wood Elves. And then I think that's basically it. You don't have to unlock Be'lakor now. He's just available for everyone. And it looks like Koops is in, so let me just double check these guys on the pick and ban system. So we'll let them do their picks and bans now. And I will switch the map up. Let's come in here. And let's go to... Oh, let me think. Let's go to Gorgazan. It's a nice classic multiplayer map. Or am I thinking of Galbaraz? Now let's switch it to Galbaraz. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, Cryptors are still somewhat vulnerable to, like, focused range damage, especially even, like, low-tier ranged shooting, which is relatively easy for the Vampire counts to shut down, but, I mean, they do have some vulnerabilities, and I think they're just going to be more appropriate now for their buffed stats. Like, I'm fine with them staying buffed. I just think cost increase is the right way to adjust that, but I don't know. Maybe they need to go up to 950 still, but we'll see. Right. Good. It looks like they moved. Sticking with Kislev. For those of you guys who haven't seen my King of the Hills before, what I essentially do is the sitting king, gets to choose. They can stay the same faction with limited bans. They only get one ban, and it can't be any faction that they've banned before. Or they can pick 3 new factions and do the classic pick 3, ban 1 system. So it kind of you can choose to either like go on a run with a single faction, which like I did in a previous stream. A-Move Hacker is definitely putting on a clinic right now with Kislev. So, or you can try and switch it up and show that you have a broad range of playing diverse factions, and it's interesting. Kind of makes for some interesting streams. But like today, I'm totally fine with having a Kislev theme day. Kislev is a faction that personally I'm a big fan of, and also a faction that needs some DLCs, but they are still quite strong, definitely. Like Kislev, Cathay, Ogres, all of them, you can tell their rosters are incomplete. Cathay and Kislev in particular, I think, are missing quite a bit, but... yeah, I mean, there were times when Crypt Horrors were decent in Warhammer 2, but never that great. Let's see what Coops can do. Coming in with the High Elves. Should be interesting. Be very, very interesting. Yes. Yes, and looking at some stuff over on the side here. Yeah, I need to wait. I was having some fun with modded Beastman campaign, where there's a mod that adds like marked Estigors basically for each of the specific gods, and in your Hearthstones you can build like a dedication building that will unlock them, right, and give you more slots. It's a cool way to implement it, definitely. Very smart from the modder's perspective. And I've been really enjoying that. But I need to wait for all the mods to get updated, obviously, before I can play again. I think I might jump into a Bellicor campaign, though. I know I haven't really streamed a lot of campaign for you guys since early access. I had intended to do more, but it's just one of those things. Real life gets in the way often, and I don't know. I also don't want to clog up this channel too much with campaign streams, given that I've kind of cultivated this audience of primarily multiplayer content. So, I don't know. I've been tossing around the idea of maybe doing a second channel, or else doing campaign streaming on Twitch or something, but it's tough, you know? I've definitely been playing a couple of modded campaigns on my own time just for fun, and I have to say, there's quite a few amazing mods, and the assembly kit was also just released today with this update, so, you know, some of the big mods should be coming hopefully soon. I mean, obviously, modders work at their own pace. We can't demand them to get their mods out, certainly, but yeah, it will be cool once we start to get a lot of like the Lost Factions and Unlocker mod and all that stuff should be possible now with the assembly kits. I'm sure Beastman will get some stuff eventually. Yeah, that's kind of what one of my trepidations, Wesley, is I don't know. My campaign streams already sometimes don't get that great of views when I do them. So, I mean, the early access was one thing. That's kind of an anomaly, I think, but I don't know. Personally, nothing against the devs of SFO. I just don't really enjoy some of the changes that they make. I don't know. I more prefer like a vanilla plus experience where I'll add some stuff that just adds like I have a couple of roster expansion mods for, well, one roster expansion mod for Kislev, one for Cathay, one for the Ogres. I have the Noblar Horde, one for the Ogres, the Sea Dragon for Cathay, and then Motherland mod for Kislev, just to kind of flesh out those three rosters a little bit more for the time being. Excuse me. And then, yeah, like Bretonian Friar Hero, Bretonian. I think there was also a mod that was just released that adds like Emeralds or Eramolts or whatever there are, Brigands and stuff like that. So, yeah, light modding is what I prefer, but to each their own. I'm definitely not going to talk down to anyone that enjoys SFO or whatever particular mod loadout or setup that you enjoy. Totally fine. Let's take a look at what they've got, though. We're going to start with a move hacker here. He's, again, Ice Switch, this time on horseback, leading 3 Griffin Legion. I love that. I love that. He's got 3 Zar Guards as well, and then some Ice Guards and Armored Cossars. Plenty of Horse Archers, 4 Horse Archers, so a lot of counter skirmish here. On Kislev's side, we've got a single unit of Shadow Walkers. Very interesting. They're going to be a little bit vulnerable, all that Horse Archers, but, ooh, smacked my mic. I apologize. That was probably very loud. I apologize, guys. If you're wearing headphones, yeah, that was probably bad. But anyway, a couple of Silver Helms here. Illyrian Reaver's got a single Swordmaster and some White Lions as well. If the Swordmasters can somehow avoid getting nuked by missiles and magic, which, I mean, there's not a ton of missiles and magic to nuke them here. They should raid reasonably effectively. But the Double Bolt Thrower definitely can apply some pressure to those Griffin Legion and force them into an uncomfortable situation. Oh. Didn't hear anything. Oh, that's good. I, like, smacked my mic stand pretty hard, so if you didn't hear anything, that's great. I guess the shock mount is pretty good. Oh, that's great. Anyway. Yes. Yes, this Ice Switch is just the terror of this stream. We need a name for her. Bebchuk, right? Isn't that like the name that all of them get in campaign is something Bebchuk? So, yes, she's the real Queen of Kislev. People don't know. My opinion on sieges? You know... So, I think, Wesley, that you shouldn't get an uncapped amount of supplies. But, well, a defender, I should say. Shouldn't get an uncapped amount of supplies. Oh, is the stream being weird? Oh, I forgot to transition this over. That's good. Okay, it was probably, like, killing my frame rate, too. But there we go. That should be better now. Thanks, Ronan. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, the maps look amazing, don't get me wrong. But mechanically, I think they could use a little bit of fine-tuning. I think that the towers, like, you shouldn't get an uncapped amount of supply. There should be, like, a total supply pool that you pull from over time. Kind of like with Winds of Magic, basically, where you get, like, a constant flow of supply based on how many of the points you control. And, you know, if you get those supplies... like, if you use those supplies and then the towers are destroyed, then you just lose that supply straight up. If you need to move your towers, then you actually have a reason to, like, refund them and try and build them somewhere else, right? Because you won't just get an infinite amount of supply. It also means that you're not necessarily, as an attacker, on just a straight-up timer, because, you know, after X number of seconds, they'll be able to build all of the towers in their settlement, and it'll be really difficult for you to actually take the settlement. But, oh man, look at that. Look at that snipe from Eltharion. Coop's coming in here with a little Soul Quench long-range poke, and there's no Patriarch here to heal the Ice Switch. So if he can actually snipe her straight before the battle starts, that was almost a quarter of her HP and damage. That is pretty significant, actually. So... nice use of a little Soul Quench there. A little underutilized spell, you could argue. I love the Spearman in the corner, too. I don't know what the story is here exactly, but there is a Spearman in deep, deep reserves. Not sure about that at all, but the Bolt Throwers right now should be focusing. Basically, as soon as the Griffin Legions come into range, they should start focusing the Griffin Legions, but you could also put them both on Scattershot and focus this Ice Glaive right here. They only have 50 armor. And that Scattershot is going to do a lot of damage over time. But for the time being, it looks like he's YOLOing in with the Horse Archers. They're taking a little bit of counterfire from the Shadow Walkers there. That poison will help slow down their speed to just 78. And with 78 speed, the Silver Helms are easily able to catch up. Oh, he should have stayed the charge right there. They're going to take some damage. Oh, no, they have shields. They would have been absolutely fine there. They could have definitely got that charge off, given they were hitting their charge speed anyway. But it's going to be tricky to protect this artillery against this many horse archers. The Buy Our Blood passive does mean that if the horse archers get on the crew, then it's over, right? And it's going to be pretty hard to actually break them without them getting on the crew, so it's definitely got to be a little bit careful there. But the Shadow Walkers continuing to poke away, pull down models there. The Eagle Claws also pulling off some models of the Griffin Legions there. Another Soul Quench into the... Speaking of putting someone on a timer, another Soul Quench into the Ice Witch there. Griffin Legions now engaging on the Silver Helms, and it's not going to be a great... I definitely reinforce with those Spearmen. Try and perhaps support that engagement, but even as it is, both players pouring in missiles there, it's going to be a little bit of a wash in terms of an engagement. Over here, I've missed this Griffin Legion getting caught up by the Silver Helms. Again, Kislev Heavy Cavalry quite fast, not quite fast enough to get away from Elven Heavy Cavalry. That being said, he does open himself up to getting one bolt thrower occupied, and that's pretty painful. They are going to probably just immediately overrun and try and get on the second bolt thrower, but they didn't actually stay the course and finish the crew off. They knocked them off of the artillery piece, but got a blizzard over here as well. Just nukes that Silver Helm. Doesn't do too much to the... I guess also does quite a bit of damage to the Griffin Legions there. And then here we go. Shadow Walkers, as I kind of predicted, a little bit vulnerable in such low model count. I think he definitely needed some Lothern Sea Guard here. They are a unit that just kind of breaks this matchup because they're just a straight-up better hybrid unit than a lot of what Kislev can bring to the table. And they are a hard counter to these horse archers. They'll shoot him or fight them effectively in melee. So, I don't know. The bolt throwers are a nice idea, and I probably would have taken one or two, but I think you could probably cut some of this. And again, just take some Lothern Sea Guard. Lothern Sea Guard and White Lions are a good combo of units to have here for both anti-infantry and anti-large. Kind of reliably perform against a multitude of targets, but hard to say. Right now, Kislev, man, they just took apart that elf formation very, very quickly. And the Spearmen a little bit out of position. They're kind of fighting some Tsar Guards here. Trying to pull those Swordmasters out of position, perhaps. But here comes Eltharion. If Eltharion can snipe out this Ice Witch, start to rout off some of these Kislev units, it'd be pretty okay, but I think a lot of this stuff is just too weakened. And the one Spearman here as well, just left in the corner. Not really sure the story on that, but man, the Ice Witch takes a couple of big hits from Eltharion, and she's not long for this world. He could even just pull up and do a little Soul Quench here to finish her off. Gonna try our best to dodge there. Another Blizzard gets cast. Swordmasters are mostly able to pull away. They counterattack over into the Ice Guards, get a little bit of apotheosis there, and doesn't need the Soul Quench. He can just land a charge, finish off Bebchuk. Now pull around over to these armored infantry. They've pretty much used up all their ammunition, which means they probably paid for themselves. Let's take a look here. Yeah, 37 kills. No, not even close. But Swordmasters can only do so much when completely surrounded like this. They are absolutely massacring that Tsar Guard in a pretty efficient manner, but then the Ice Guard's also shooting them. Nice little charge from these Griffin Legions as well. I see a Hand of Glory on them to increase their melee attack. The 72 melee attack, which means if they actually turn and fight the Griffin Legion, they'll do some decent damage, but taking that shock charge there, the low mass of elves, does mean that they tend to take more charge damage than other factions, from what you might expect. Town bugging out there as more Griffin Legions just pour in. Eltharion, I don't totally hate the pick of Eltharion here. I think he was actually okay, but I think you definitely need some Lothern Sea Guards in this particular matchup. Yes. I mean, Kislev probably just army losses Eltharion, and once the Ice Guards are able to actually shoot him consistently, they will be able to do some damage. Griffin Legions can also get us around and try and cycle charge him. We'll see. I mean, this Tactical Reserve Spearman Goops is probably kicking himself, as I would be, too, for forgetting them. They might have helped to protect that backline just a little bit longer. Let the bolt throwers generate just that much more value. But it's looking pretty scary right now. Eltharion, as strong as he is, leadership will likely run out fairly soon. Very accurate fire from those Ice Guards there. They rain in some shots. Of course, the speed debuff and the fact that his vigor is also significantly debuffed means his armor's way down. Well, I guess, yeah, the speed debuff compounding with the vigor is what I'm trying to say. And then, yeah, I think if he's fully exhausted, it's got to be like, what, 20%, 30% armor, something crazy like that. Anyway, there's army losses for the High Elves. And there we go. Wow. A-Move Hacker 4 for 4 right now on the Kislev wins for the day. Love me some quality Kislev land battles. And, yeah, man. Basically just might rename the title Kislev Guide. As he's putting in a clinic here with a variety of different builds and units, kind of showcasing the faction. Really cool stuff. The Ice Guards, man, ended up getting some crazy value back, shooting various stuff. I think also fighting Eltharion in melee, given that they have magic damage, anti-large AP, they are going to actually punch him reasonably hard. So, the Armored Kossars also, and Zargard, they're just kind of nice armored infantry to have against High Elves. Again, on the flip side, I think you can cut these Swordmasters. White Lions are going to be more universally useful here. The missile resistance, more useful than the Swordmaster's tiny missile block chance. Likewise, the Shadow Walkers, like I like the pick of the poison here to a degree, but also I think it would have been better to just have more Sea Guards, right? So you cut them, you cut the one bolt throw, and you can take 3 Sea Guards in their place. At that point, you're just a little bit wider on the ground. Maybe even cut this Ranger as well, just because they don't do a ton for you here. Option in another Sea Guard in their place. You got 4 Sea Guards. Yeah, it's a couple Lions. And then go from there. But, yeah. It started off serious and then got more silly. Well, I like some elements. I think Eltharion's actually a very solid choice there. And I'm starting to grow more and more on Eltharion as Immortal Empires goes along, because it seems like he has some okay tools in specific situations. But, yeah, let's see. I think I might have to call the stream for today if there's no other challengers to the terrifying Kislev of A-Move Hacker. So, let's see. If there's anyone from chat who wants to jump in on one more. Otherwise, I think I might just call the stream for today and then go off and try and get some land battles of my own to record for you guys for the next few days. I am also on the hunt for new replays from this patch, so feel free to send them on over on Discord, but let's see. Well, give me just a couple more minutes here to see if there's anyone else. I've sent off a couple of messages. I'm going to give a couple people a chance to respond. So in the meantime, let's finish up here. I think we pretty much talked about everything. Oh yeah, looking forward. So 2.2, they also talk about here what they wanted to potentially add. Modified start positions for Teclis, Scrag, Kairos, and Lithanar. It's very nice. Spirit of the Jungle AI factions, fixing Manfred's bonus wins and magic levels to revert after 100. I didn't even know that was a bug. Yeah, village fixes, just a lot more fixes in terms of updates for 2.2. And they also are looking at resummon, and this is not only for domination, but also for survival battles as well. If units get fully wiped out, you won't be able to resummon them in a battle, which is new, right? That's not how it currently works in domination and in survival battles. If a unit dies, it's dead for good, right? Or it's not dead for good. You can just resummon it, but they're potentially looking at that change. They aren't sure yet. They're looking for feedback, so definitely let me know here in chat, in the comments below. I'm sure they'll take a look. I don't know at this specifically, but I can kind of report back general sentiments. Let me know, do you guys think it'd be good for domination to not have any resummons? Like, I know, for example, like Coops here in chat is more of a land battle enjoyer, which is fine, but do you think you would enjoy domination more if you couldn't resummon units? Because a few people have said to me that that's one of the biggest hangups. And I mean, besides just the fact that it's a little more gamey, I think that's always going to be the case to a degree, and land battles will always still have a place alongside them, but huge nerf for undead. Yeah. definitely. Ongoing updates to Confederation. Sounds great. I know Confederation's a mechanic that a lot of people want more of, so they're looking at essentially what they can do there. Settlement battles. Again, they're trying to improve settlement battles and also generate more land battles in campaigns as well. So resummon should not refund used abilities and ammo. At the very least, I think I agree with that, Argio. I think I'd be curious to try Domination. You weren't able to resummon units that were fully wiped out. I think that'd be interesting to try. I don't know if that's going to be the best way, but yeah, and I totally get that, Wesley. The scale of land battles, sort of, it's the classic Total War experience, right? Of just having a big old scrap, big old open field battle. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's true. So like you can bring in the Skyhammer, for example, for the Dwarfs, drop all the bombs, use its ammo, unsummon it, and as long as it's still high HP, you'll get a good refund for it, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. I think that's pretty much it for today, though, guys. I'm going to hop off and go record some other battles and stuff, but just wanted to do a quick stream for today, rein in the new patch. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks for coming out, and yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.